new legislation to help the blind and visually impaired across campus.
And why prices are rising from the grocery store aisle to the gas pump.
And how a 105-year-old created a new category in the World Record Book.
Broadcasting live from the University of North Texas, this is ntTV News at Noon.
Thanks for joining us on ntTV News at Noon. I'm Michael Matthews.
And I'm Chanel Young. Yesterday afternoon, Houston Police Chief Troy Finner held a press conference about November 5th's tragic event. The deadly concert Astroworld left 8 dead. The update featured the Houston PD's next steps in the investigation.
So I asked everyone to allow us to let the investigation lead us to the facts as to what, how, and why this occurred. As police chief, I can promise you one thing, my team, we're going to be laser focused on investigating the facts, not pointing fingers at other organizations. Again, assumptions and opinions are not helpful. Our detectives will focus on facts and evidence to include the actions of all parties, including our agency.
Finner assured citizens that those who are involved will be held accountable. We will keep you updated as the story develops.
While the push to get the COVID virus under control through vaccinations continues, the reality is that millions of Americans not only caught the virus, but they're still feeling its effect even after they've technically recovered. It's called long-haul COVID, and symptoms range from headaches to extreme fatigue to brain fog, which means they're just unable to concentrate. CNN's Gabe Cohen talked with some people still struggling with long-haul COVID.
Lori Bedell feels trapped inside her Pittsburgh home and her ailing body.
I feel like I've lost the life that I had.
It's been nearly a year since she and her family contracted COVID. Her father died. Today, she's still battling post-COVID syndrome, a mysterious long-term condition plaguing some COVID patients. Once perfectly healthy, she now keeps this long list of symptoms, like severe fatigue, brain fog, and constant pain.
I literally can't even leave my house by myself.
She needs a walker just to get the mail.
How are you feeling now?
A little winded.
Could you even work right now?
No. I barely function.
Before COVID, Lori was the nursing director for a home health agency, but she hasn't worked since January. After using up her paid time off, she was laid off.
Sorry. Losing that job and losing that part of me has been really hard. I've become one of the patients that I cared for.
Lori's case is severe, but she's not alone.
Unfortunately, it's quite alarming.
Dr. Greg Van Nishkeshorn is seeing this constantly.
Work issues have been one of the most significant problems we've encountered in our patient population.
His team at the Mayo Clinic treats and studies post-COVID syndrome. Looking at data from their clinic and several other studies, they've noticed a troubling trend.
We estimate that approximately 1.3 million individuals are out of work right now due to long-haul COVID symptoms.
He says that could mean more than 1 million Americans out of the labor force as the country deals with a worker shortage and more than 10 million open jobs as of August.
I think that's entirely plausible.
Mark Zandi is chief economist of Moody's Analytics. He says the doctor's estimate makes sense.
Long COVID is increasingly a significant headwind to the labor market getting back to normal, for businesses to get their business operations up and running, and ultimately for the broader economy to kick into high gear.
Could this be an overestimate?
Absolutely, but it also could be an underestimate.
Most of the long haulers they're studying have well-paying jobs and good insurance.
My fear is that there are individuals out there who are suffering severely from this condition, but they simply can't take time off of work to go get care.
Jennifer Hobbs is a preschool teacher in Medford, Oregon, who suffered long-haul symptoms for a year, from severe fatigue to hair loss.
I've had a headache every single day for a year.
But she returned to her classroom, needing the income and health insurance.
It was nearly impossible for me to think about leaving. I don't know how I do it. I just make it through the day.
The U.S. government recognizes long COVID as a disability, and patients can apply for assistance. But it can take months, and some long haulers say they've been denied.
It's been a catastrophe for us.
Lori Bedell just applied for disability and is awaiting an answer. She and her husband have used up their savings and retirement funds just to pay the bills.
Honestly, I'm terrified that I'm never going to be able to go back to work.
Now, while health experts are predicting that COVID-19 will never be eliminated, we will learn to control it as we have done with other illnesses. Mandy Gaither has more on what medical expert Dr. Anthony Fauci believes the future may hold.
COVID-19 is likely here to stay, but when cases are no longer out of control and hospitals aren't overflowing with patients, many experts predict the spread of the coronavirus will be more like a seasonal flu.
What we hope to get it is at such a low level that even though it isn't completely eliminated, it doesn't have a major impact on public health or on the way we run our lives.
With mutations like the Delta variant, no one can predict exactly how prevalent COVID-19 will be in the future, but experts say we now have the power of protection from vaccines, and federal health officials are already thinking about how to measure the end of the pandemic and how to track the coronavirus once it becomes endemic. That means the disease has a constant presence in a population but isn't affecting a significant number of people.
We would hope that as we get people more vaccinated, not only in this country, but throughout the world, that the level of viral dynamics will be so low. I can't predict for you today when that will be.
The CDC says we're still in pandemic phase. Right now, 70% of adults in the U.S. are fully vaccinated. Health officials say that vaccination rate needs to rise as new COVID-19 cases continue to fall. For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Apparently, we saw some pretty hefty rain last night. Personally, I didn't notice because I was up studying.
Really? It was crazy. I had to drive through some wild hail on my way to Razor Ranch last night. I wonder if we're going to see any more. Our weather reporter, Justine, has a live look at the conditions outside. What's it like, Justine?
Thanks, Michael and Chanel. Right now, it's 59, feels like 57, with sunny conditions and wind speeds of 15 miles per hour. Tonight, you can expect it to be 46, feeling like 43, with clear conditions and wind speeds of 10 miles per hour. Tomorrow, it's expected to be 66, feeling about the same at 66, with wind speeds of 15 miles per hour and sunny conditions as well. That's all I have for right now, but tune in later for a full weather report. Back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Justine. The country is facing a wave of supply chain issues that could make for a very expensive Thanksgiving feast. CNN's Louisa Moeller takes us to an already overwhelmed turkey farm in Massachusetts.
Calling all Thanksgiving shoppers. Supply chain issues are impacting how many turkeys are available this year, and Bob's Turkey Farm in Lancaster is already feeling the effects.
Yeah, unfortunately, they're all spoken for at this point.
Well, it's been crazy.
Farm co-owner Sue Miner says they're already clean out of fresh turkeys, with customers flocking to their business due to fears of shortages at grocery stores.
People were calling in August wanting to order their turkeys, and we would not even go live with our order system until September 27th. And right away, I don't know how many, hundreds of turkeys coming in daily, orders.
Plus, Bob's is processing fewer turkeys because of a shortage of staff.
I sympathize for our customers because people that have been buying here for years and years and years are used to being able to call.
This year, market research firm IRI reports that 60% of turkeys nationwide are already out of stock. And the same goes for other products. IRI reports cans of cranberry sauce, 20% out of stock. Sweet potatoes and yams, a quarter out of stock. The only thing more in stock than last year is stuffing. And as the gravy flows at Bob's, the shortage of other supplies is also taking a toll.
Our stuffing, for instance, my supplier, I couldn't get bread.
Which means they'll have to add a dash of creativity to recipes they've been cooking up for decades.
We're all having the same supply issue. We have to make do with something else.
In Lancaster, Louisa Moeller, WBZ News.
The USDA has also said that prices for turkeys have risen 22% since last year. A drop in production and a rise in demand is the cause. Chanel has more. Chanel?
Yes, Michael, consumer prices have risen to their highest levels in over 30 years. While economic officials assure us that the climb is temporary, the trickle-down effect of rising gas and grocery prices will affect everything. But how did we get here? Most investors point to the pandemic, which has put the brakes on an already unpredictable economy. So much so that the stock market fell after an 8-day winning streak on Tuesday. Investors say the economy is recovering from the pandemic so rapidly that it is overheating. And now, Wall Street's biggest fear isn't COVID, but rather inflation. Now, with Thanksgiving just around the corner, millions of people will be traveling from all across the country. So if you need to fill up your gas for the holidays, Jen Sullivan has more on how this might break the bank.
After the break, colleges across Texas have some news, including our very own UNT. And we'll take a look at accessibility issues on campus. Stick with us.
This month, Time has chosen an interesting cover star, a Mississippi abortion clinic. To be more specific, the very last abortionist clinic in the state. Mississippi is currently on the state's fighting for the U.S. Supreme Court to overturn the Roe v. Wade. Mississippi has some of the strictest abortion laws in the country, as the state prohibits abortion after 15 weeks. Time also sat down with the clinic's owner, Shannon Brewer, to discuss the recent battle for abortion rights has done to her ability to provide service and the safety of her staff and patients. Brewer said both have severely been impacted. The magazine is available now and everywhere.
According to a recent CNN survey, 3 out of 4 Americans believe Facebook is making society worse. SSRS researchers sampled over 1,000 Americans in an online survey. 76% of them say Facebook worsens society, and many users have fallen for conspiracy theories through the network. As of now, many online users are torn on whether to trust big tech companies like Google, Facebook, or Amazon. Here at UNT, diversity and inclusion are stated to be priorities and are featured heavily in UNT marketing. ntTV's Gabby Carden looks deeper into the issue of Braille around the UNT campus.
Room number plaques like these may not seem like much, but for people with visual impairments, they are the key to navigating life. UNT has made attempts to make campus more accessible. However, many of these have fallen short of meeting the Americans with Disabilities Act requirements. People like Paulina Diaz have taken the hit hard.
When you find things that aren't accessible, even if it's the bare minimum like Braille signs, you get this sense of like this world wasn't made for you. You're not wanted here. This place wasn't made with you in mind.
The ADA and the Braille Authority of North America have strict guidelines when it comes to Braille placement, which are not met in most of the signs in buildings.
My best friend is in choir, and she came to me one day saying that one of her friends, Paulina Diaz, was having trouble with the Braille in the College of Music, saying that like Braille is normally supposed to be underneath the text that it corresponds to, and in the College of Music on all the signs, it was actually several inches to the right. And sometimes up against borders. Some of the signs didn't even have Braille to begin with.
They should be here thinking about their classes. They don't need to have the added stress of trying, I mean, it's already stressful trying to find your class on that first day, so they don't need another, obstacle in their way.
After realizing this issue needed to be addressed, Senator Cowell used her position in the Student Government Association to outline a solution.
If there's an issue with an institution as large as a university, you don't expect something to be done overnight. And obviously this isn't going to be fixed overnight, but getting this legislation down in like a month and a half, I'm really proud that we were able to do that.
Just knowing that this is going through, it really does help me. It brings me peace of mind that I'm not alone and I'm not an outsider and I can be included, and that's a possibility, that people understand and that people care.
The projected deadline for fixing the signs within the College of Music is spring 2022. More buildings are expected to follow afterwards. Reporting for North Texas Television, I'm Gabby Carden.
UNT is working to solve the issue campus-wide.
An incubator program at Texas Women's University meant to support female-owned businesses is now accepting applications. The program will be providing resources and education to 6 North Texas startups to help grow business. The Jane Nelson Institute for Women's Leadership partnered with the Slate A women's-owned business in Dallas to create the initiative. The selected startups will have 24/7 access to a workspace at the Slate, a business advisor and mentors, entrepreneurial training, and media support. Online applications must be submitted before 5 p.m. on November 29th. On December 17th, the winners will be announced, and the program will begin on January 10th. Michael, this Texas weather is so unpredictable. I mean, one day it's raining, and the next it's bright and sunny.
I know, right? I never know what to wear. Let's hope our weather anchor Justine Ahrens can help us prepare for the unpredictable. Justine?
Thanks, Michael and Chanel. Right now across North Texas, temperatures are ranging from the high 50s to the low 60s. Like I mentioned before, Denton is at 59, Graham is at 60, McKinney is at 59, and Dallas and Fort Worth are both at 58. Now across North Texas, temperatures are about the same, with Amarillo being 51, El Paso and Abilene being 57, and our warmest temperature we're seeing here is Houston at 70. Now let's finally take a look at our 7-day forecast to see what we can expect for the next week. Today to Monday, conditions are going to be sunny with temperatures ranging in the high 60s to the low 70s. Tuesday and Wednesday, some of that sun's going to go away, but temperatures are going to be in the high 70s, Tuesday at 77 and Wednesday at 79. But right now, I'm standing outside of UNT's Willis Library, where the building is celebrating its 50th anniversary. Built on the site of the university's first football field, the library first opened its doors in 1971. It wasn't until 1978 that the library took on its name after being dedicated to A.M. Willis Jr. It was originally designed to seat 1,850 people and shelve 762,450 books. That's all I have. Back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Justine. Coming up, we'll show you the 105-year-old setting records.
And a trash barrel makes a long journey. Stay with us.
A 105-year-old Louisiana woman has set a new world record in the 100-meter dash. Julia Hawkins, a retired school teacher, took the top spot at the Louisiana Senior Games. Her new record makes her the first track and field athlete and the first American to set a track and field world record. Her new win established in 105 and older category in the Games.
Julia, how did it feel?
Wonderful. I'm so happy.
That's wildly impressive. I wonder how many people can say that they're in such good shape at such an advanced age.
Not many, I think. I wonder what her training regimen is. Anyway, Jalen, do you have a story like this?
You know, personally, I've never seen anyone over 100 do anything like this. But I ran track myself, and maybe one day I'll be able to run as long as she will and reach 105. Speaking of sports, I have everything from the sports world when we come back. Not even a full week after Henry Ruggs III gets released from the Las Vegas Raiders for driving under the influence, the Raiders have released cornerback Damon Arnett after a video of him threatening an Instagram user with multiple guns. After losing 2 first-round picks in the span of a week, the Raiders will have to figure out how to maneuver with the loss of 2 players, as well as how to change the culture of the team. The Cowboys faced off against the Denver Broncos this past Saturday and suffered a tough 30-16 loss after not being able to score until the 4th quarter. Now, I know what you're saying. We're not going to the Super Bowl anymore because we lost a second game. But keep your Super Bowl hopes alive, Cowboys fans. This week, the Cowboys will be facing off against the Atlanta Falcons on Sunday at 1 p.m. at AT&T Stadium. And last week, the Mean Green faced off against the Southern Miss Golden Eagles and got a win. The Mean Green prevented them from scoring any points after the first quarter, and from there, exploded across the field. They get a chance to become bowl eligible if they do not lose any more games for the rest of this season. There are only 3 more humps in the road, and if they can get those wins, UNT will work its way back up in the CUSA rankings. This week, the Mean Green will be facing off against UTEP Miners for homecoming. This game will be Saturday at Apogee at 3 p.m. Be there or be square. Back to y'all at the desk.
Thanks, Jalen. Have you ever walked on a beach and found a bottle floating in the water? Wonder where it came from? Well, Jeremy Roth has a story on a very big bottle and its history, plus 2 other unusual discoveries from under the waves.
Take a look at this trove of entrancing treasures taken from the tides. First up, this is a trash barrel owned by the city of Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. But this isn't Myrtle Beach. It's the western coast of Ireland. Myrtle Beach officials received a message on social media saying the barrel had been found washed ashore on the coast of Mulroney. That's a 3,500-mile trip across the Atlantic Ocean. Officials responded, speculating that the barrel likely made the wayward journey courtesy of a wind or storm event. They asked their new Irish friends to recycle the barrel and thanked them for sharing its seafaring adventure. On a personal note, I'm kind of upset a trash can got to see Ireland before I did. In Wisconsin, a discovered sunken artifact is fascinating archaeologists not because of how far it traveled, but for how long. Experts say this ancient canoe pulled from 30 feet of water in Lake Mendota is roughly 1,200 years old, which means it was used around 800 AD, likely for fishing. It's currently being preserved and could help shed light on how locals lived and traveled in the area generations ago. Finally, a Maine lobsterman is hoping to preserve this ultra-rare blue lobster recently caught off Portland in the waters of Casco Bay. How rare, you ask? About 1 in 100 million rare. Bill Coppersmith nicknamed his cotton candy-colored crustaceous catch Hattie after his granddaughter and is in talks with experts and aquariums to find it an adoptive home.
We're not going to sell it. We're not going to cook it. This is a beautiful lobster and we want to preserve it.
Or take a look at this. I'm Jeremy Roth.
Well, Michael, everyone has a story, and so do trash cans.
I just think that it's crazy that a trash can made that journey when hundreds of years ago it was such an effort to make it across the ocean like that, and this trash can just does it like that. Crazy. Thanks for watching ntTV News at Noon.
And join us again here tonight on North Texas Television.